Oké, luisteraars van Rock of Ages. Ja, we hebben het genoegen met misschien wel een levende legende. Robb Weir, beter bekend als Tiger Robb, gitarist van de New Wave of British Heavy Metal legends Tygers of Pan Tang. Hello Robb, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, thank you very much for your time. Yeah, it's an honor to have you here at Rock of Ages on AFM in the Netherlands.
I was not 100% sure exactly where you were, but it delights me that you're in the Netherlands because Holland is one of my favourite countries.
Oh, really? How come?
I just love the Dutch people. I just think you have a wonderful way of life. It's quite laid back. Everybody's so friendly. Your economy seems to be okay. I don't know. I could see myself retiring to Holland.
Oh, that's good. You're absolutely welcome in our country. So, so Robb, of course, I would like to talk about the latest studio album, the live records. But first, I would like to go with you in the past.
Yes, of course.
The Tygers of Pan Tang were a big deal. You were part of the new wave of British heavy metal in 70s, early 80s. Can you tell us a little bit about the beginning of the Tygers?
Yes, absolutely. It all started for me when I put an advert in a local newspaper asking for a like-minded bass player who was into the same kind of music that I was into and, would be interested in maybe writing some songs and playing covers of the day.
Okay.
Songs by other people, initially to start off with. And within about 3 hours of placing the advert in the newspaper, the phone rang in my mum and dad's house, and my mum shouted up the stairs, "There's somebody on the phone for you." Came downstairs, and it was Richard, aka Rocky, and he said, "Hi, I'm Rocky. I'm doing a course at Newcastle University."
Mm-hmm.
I saw your advert, and I think we're probably into the same kind of music. Also, on my course is a lad who plays drums. Would you be interested, in that as well? And I said, absolutely. So I organised a rehearsal, and we all met and jammed songs of the day, and I showed them some songs that I'd been writing, and we played those, and we all just got on like a house on fire, and I think we instantly knew we had a connection, and that was the very humble beginnings of the Tygers.
Yeah, and did you have a sort of a vision that we're going to play that, or this is the music that's now popular, or something like that?
I think the vision was to be successful, like the bands that we were going to see, and wanting to be famous, and certainly not the money thing, the rich thing, rich and famous.
No.
The rich thing didn't even factor, it was nothing to do with that. It was the fact that I think we could see ourselves standing on big stages, in city halls and performing and wanting to do that. And that was that was the basis of our idea of this little band that we had. Of course, we didn't have a name for the band. We didn't even have a singer at that point. So we rehearsed and made sure that the music side of everything was tight and working, and then we set about getting ourselves a singer. And the first singer in the band was a young lad called Mark Butcher, who did about the first 25 shows with us. And when I say shows, we're talking, pubs, working men's clubs, private parties, anywhere that would let us set up and play.
Yes.
And sometimes we got paid, and sometimes we took the door money, but we would walk away from the end of it with absolutely next to nothing. Sometimes 2 or 3 English pounds.
Not much.
No, it just but by the time we'd pay for the petrol of the van and one thing and another, and a few pints of beer and stuff like that, there was nothing much left really. But I say it wasn't about the money. It was about playing and entertaining people and
Yes.
building up, a relationship with people and introducing them to the name and, moving forward in that direction and hoping, of course, somebody would see us that maybe was in a position to elevate the band even more, like maybe somebody that had a recording studio or, somebody that had a record label, or because you don't know. Indeed, in life, you don't know what's around the corner.
No.
But of course, you hope it's good things and not bad things. So, a glass half full rather than glass half empty.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. So, but you already did a lot of experience and then record albums. Did you expect that? I would say the first two albums had that much impact. Aware of the fact that albums the first two albums that became such a classics.
Well, indeed, not really. Certainly not at the time.
No.
I remember after we recorded Wildcat, on the first week of it being released, it charted in the national British charts.
Really?
So not a rock chart, because there weren't such things as rock charts back then. That it was just that the chart which everybody could enter if the record sales were sufficient. So we entered the charts at 18, I think, with Wildcat, and then it went up to 13. But in amongst us, amongst the artists, that we were rubbing shoulders with in the charts, as it were Michael Jackson, David Bowie, Gloria Gaynor, all the multi-platinum selling artists. And there's this little band from a seaside town in the northeast of England, with our new wave of British heavy metal album called Wildcat. And I remember we spent quite a lot of time, because we live in the northeast of England, and London, the capital city, is about 300 miles. So I suppose it's about 450 kilometres away from where we lived. And we were down there with Chris Tangarides, who was our first record producer, and we were having a drink, a cup of coffee at lunchtime in a little snack bar across the road from King's Cross train station in the West End of London. And Chris said to us, he said, "Chaps," he said, "I think we have a hit album on our hands." He says, "I've got no idea how or why, but," he says, "it appears it's got into the charts and we're doing rather well. So congratulations to us." And it was, he said it in a very English upper class voice. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we all kind of laughed and reveled in this sort of success that we had.
Nice, yeah.
We never ever expected it to. We hope, of course, hope eternal. You always have hope that you're going to do all right with something new. Because it's like I said, it's an educational process. You're educating and introducing yourself, hopefully, to fans. Yeah,
but you became very popular very quick, actually.
We did. We absolutely did. There was a lineup change for the second album, and we recorded the second album, Spellbound, which came out the beginning of '81, and tremendous success with that as well. That went straight into the charts, and of course the shows were getting bigger, and the crowds, the audiences were getting bigger, and our fan base was widening, across the world. In days, of course, when there was no internet and there was no mobile phones, so everything was done by word of mouth or by telegrams or by post. So we did incredibly well. From starting from nothing to playing, sell-out shows to when we were in Japan in '82, we were playing to 5,000 seaters, and
unbelievable.
They were sold out every night. So in fact, when we played Japan, a small claim to fame, a little story for your listeners.
Yes.
We played in Osaka, and we were playing. It was a 5,000 seater, and we sold it out. And after the show, all the shows in Japan, they're still out to this day, that they're all quite early shows. So you're kind of finished by latest 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
You know, you go on stage maybe at 6:30. It's just the way Japan's wired. So we're in a big black stretch limousine which took us from the venue, back to the hotel, and there was all the fans, Japanese fans, had learnt that which hotel we were staying in. So there was, without a word of a lie, there was literally hundreds of fans.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So we all agreed we would go upstairs and make ourselves look beautiful, and come down and meet in the bar for a drink. And we always used to discuss the show afterwards. We always used to record our shows and on cassette tape and have a listen to them, just to see, like a quality check, if you like a quality control, to see if there's anything we could do better, if the songs were the right speed, just all that kind of, just trying to be professional and trying to get it as good as we possibly could. So we come downstairs, we're in the bar, and literally across the bar, 10 meters away, was a very familiar sight of a gentleman with his fedora hat on and tight leather trousers and a leather waistcoat. And I thought, that's quite a rock and roll get-up, really. That's not your normal businessman. And this person turns around, and it's Rudolf Schenker.
No way.
And so we went straight across them, because 2 years before, in 1980, we had toured with the Scorpions. We were their support band in the UK on the Love Drive tour. Yeah. So we toured with them, and we'd kind of got to know them on the road. So it was a case of, what the hell are you doing here? Yeah. And they said, well, what are you doing? And we said, well, we've just played. And they said, well, we've just played. And I said, well, in Osaka? They said, well, yes. So it turns out that we were playing on one side of town, and they were playing on the other side of town.
No way.
and of course we didn't know.
No.
But both on the road was our promoter and their promoter, and they were talking at the bar because they obviously knew each other. Mm-hmm. And I went up to the bar to get some drinks, and was introduced to the Scorpions promoter, and our promoter had a big cheesy grin on his face, and he turned to me and he said, "You've done very well tonight." And I said, well, yeah, it was good. It looked like it was sold out. Yeah. He said, yes. He says, it was sold out. He says, you've actually outsold the Scorpions.
No way.
They didn't have as many people in their hall as we did. Wow. But I have to say, to quantify that, it was our first visit there, and I think the Scorpions had been there on numerous occasions, so we probably had the element of surprise. But nevertheless, let's glass definitely half full, So that's and of course that they went on to be multi-mega star, multi-millionaires, and they still are, and we're not.